This podcast is brought to you in partnership with Pulltab Sports. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and on your favorite social media platforms at Pulltab Sports.
Maverick fans, welcome to this week's episode of Chattin Mavericks, the official fan podcast of all things Maverick hockey.
What is going on, Maverick Nation? We're back. No Maverick hockey this past weekend, but we've got Maverick hockey coming up this weekend. So a little bit shorter of an episode again this week, but nonetheless, we're here recording early on a Super Bowl Sunday because that's just how dedicated we are to the craft. So we're here.
You have to call it the big game.
Is that what we got to call it?
We're gonna get canceled. You call it the Super Bowl. It's the big
I'm
game.
unaware of this. What's the new? Why is it just the big game?
Owns the copyright, so no one can call it the Super Bowl.
Well,
so this is going to get taken down off YouTube now.
I mean, you can't use it to market your product.
Yeah. That's why, like, all the gaming apps, all the gambling apps, it says like, who's going to win the big game? I'm like, fuck you guys.
Really? Okay. I had no idea. I am not a knower of ball when it comes to football. I didn't even know who was playing in the Super Bowl till last night. So I'll probably have it on in the background unless I end up going somewhere for it. But
Rounders, be there.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But Chad, long time no see, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. I kind of forgot how to podcast after being off last week. I don't really remember how this works, but we were up in Grand Forks last weekend. Sorry I couldn't get back in time to record, but good job, boys. Juts, you were a rock star. Tournament was great. Last away tournament for the boy. Everybody had an absolute blast. Parents absolutely crushed it. What?
Did you cry last night?
No, came close, but no.
Okay.
Fair. Ended up losing in the semifinals to some hockey factory out of Winnipeg. Just like typical AAA team out of Canada with two lines of good players and two lines of kids who just fund the team. They help pay for travel and stuff. They had 20 skaters, I think.
20 skaters. How many coaches? They have like 14 coaches behind the bench.
Oh, they had kids, like coaches' kids.
They had 4 coaches, all like wearing like just dressed up to the nines. Like
they
totally
probably all make
like,
more than my teaching salary.
Yeah, just like your just everything you would expect out of a Canadian AAA team. But then last night was the last district game for the fella. We took some pictures afterward and reminisced and all this stuff. But now we're heading into the district tournament as the number 1 seed. So we got an opportunity to keep the season
going.
Number
1 seed, upset alert.
Jeez. Chiming in there as always is Juts. How are you, Mr. Jutting?
I'm okay.
Okay.
The early podcast kicking my ass. I drank too much last night. Shocking. Visited our old friend Adam Isley at the Gopher Ohio State game last night. That was cool. Always good to see him. Talk to him afterwards.
Did he recognize you?
I mean, he gave me the tickets.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's fun, but go Seahawks in the big game.
Yeah, so you're Seahawks, Chad. Who you got?
Patriots.
Okay.
I'm not.
Sorry.
Wow. Big Seahawks guy over there.
No, I just
long-time Seahawks fan.
I do. You guys are not. I have a Seahawks jersey from like there when they had like the green like Thursday night color rush jersey back in the day. It's like a size small. If that tells you anything, I haven't been a small since I was like 6.
Yeah, sick description. That was cool.
Size small, just like the jersey that I won at the Blue Line Club event.
Was my ticket, loser.
Hey, not confirmed. Yeah, I ran home yesterday. My brother they're doing senior day on a Tuesday or a Thursday, one of the two. That
Tuesday
doesn't exactly fare very well for families that don't live in town that want to come back and do senior day at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. So decided that I'd go back because they're playing outdoors yesterday on the outdoor rink there in Winona, and so big controversy was the JV team is a JV and varsity game as usual, and they were just going to play the varsity game outside because just with ice conditions outside, you never really know after you play a game on it. You never really know what that ice is going to look like. And they're like, oh, it's good enough. It's good enough. Let's let the JV guys play out there too. Needless to say, varsity warmed up outside and basically they called the game and had to move it inside, which was super, super disappointing. They had all the campfires around the place, scoreboard set up, the whole 9 yards, speakers, stands, and just didn't get to play outside. So that was disappointing. All the parents, go out to the parking lot at intermission and converse and maybe have a couple of sodas out there, and
Sody pops.
people were pretty pissed off. So that was a bummer. But
AD let the JV team play first and effed up the ice.
I'm not going to get into whose decision it was, but they heard about it from a lot of hockey moms in the stands throughout the game. The senior hockey moms were
maybe I'll
furious.
apply for the open athletic director spot at Winona.
Yeah, no comment. Athletic director went on. Anyway, but no, it was a really good game. They played Rochester Century JM, which JM and Century are a combined program this year, which is nuts. Like their JV team has like 20 something guys on it. Varsity is pretty much all seniors. So really good game. Took them to overtime. My brother ended up taking a penalty in the last 45 seconds of the game as a goalie. Because some kid came in and like kind of slashed his pad as he's covering it, and he gave him a pretty, I'm surprised the ref caught it, pretty inconspicuous little cup check, and they gave him a 2 minute penalty for it. So they scored in overtime with a second left on the penalty kill. So really, really disappointing. But really good game. It was kind of made up for it not being outside, but that was my, not youth hockey, I guess, but it was my hockey experience of the week without any Maverick hockey. So
is that an annual thing where they play one game outside, or is this just...
ever since they built that rink out there, we've tried to play a game out there every year, obviously weather permitting. The ground, or like the concrete, is refrigerated, so up to like 40 degrees it'll keep ice, but if it's sunny and if you really beat it up and stuff like that, obviously ice conditions can deteriorate pretty quick. So I was very lucky. My 4 years I played there, I got to play. And actually, we played two outdoor games one year. But yeah, it's pretty neat when it works. But they struggle trying to keep the ice, especially when this past week was pretty bad. So
you're up there with Sandelin with the outdoor games.
Yeah. I don't know that my outdoor games got quite the.
Wait, you have an outdoor game? I'm on your team this year.
But so yeah, it was disappointing, but they made the most of it, made for a good hockey game. Buddy came back with me too, and went out to a couple of the bars in Winona afterward, and then came back over here last night. So it was a fun Saturday, and ran into Darren Blue at the Verizon store in Mankato last week on, I guess that was Friday or Thursday. So it was nice to talk to him. We're both very thrilled about the wait time at the Verizon store. So that was a fun experience we got to share together.
Any other run-ins over the weekend?
Any other run-ins over the weekend? I don't think so. Nothing like Gavin McKenna, but
that was last weekend. But yeah.
Why am I forgetting one that's super obvious or no?
Well, maybe you don't want to talk about it or can't talk about it, but how's your garage door?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very good call. So last night, and I promise the last little story time I got here. Last night I'm in my Mav cave down here, which is technically part of my garage, and I hear this pretty good loud bang coming from inside my garage, and there's no one else here, and I'm like, what the hell is that sound? And I go out there and I look out and I see my neighbor's truck pulling out of our driveway, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I walk up to my garage door, and it's pretty clear that like it was bent inward. And I go outside and I see him pulling away, and then there's a dent on the door right where his bumper would have lined up with my garage door. I'm like, what is going on here? And so he calls me, which he never calls me, my neighbor. Like we don't talk. Like we're friendly, but we don't really talk. And friendly, not anymore. But He I end the call because I'm walking up to it. I knock on his truck window and he rolls down the window, and I mean, he's not in a right mindset. He probably shouldn't have been driving from what I can tell. And he walks out and he's like, first he denies doing it, and then he admits to doing it, and then I could tell he's starting to get pretty agitated. So I just went back inside because I don't have the same lawyers that Gavin McKenna does, so I don't need to get in a fight in my driveway on a Friday night. And so I go back inside. He calls me, tries to deny doing it, whatever, and it is just a very strange ordeal. So
you have a ring camera. How can you deny that?
I don't know. And I sent him the ring footage too. I'm like, this is clear as day. Like, I don't understand how you're even trying to deny this after admitting that he did it too. I don't know. He was
Did you narc?
My landlord's aware of it. Yeah. So that's that I'm just gonna, they can handle it and hash it out how they want to. He was in not that set right of a mind that he decided that he couldn't tell which driveway was his. I guess I'll put it that way. So
this episode will be played in a courtroom someday. So Juts, is there anything you'd like to say to the courtroom? Anything you want to go on record?
Small claims court in Mankato, Minnesota.
Careful.
No. I'm going to refrain from talking.
It's not always a bad thing. Good stuff.
First time ever, folks. Let's give it up.
The 18 beers are talking. They're like,
let's
shut up.
Let's hop into our news here, guys. Not a ton to talk about in terms of Maverick hockey. Shout out Reed Moore getting Rookie of the Week last week. And Juts, we kind of skipped over it. We talked about it a little bit, but I mean, the freshmen, man, last week they were unbelievable. Yeah. A couple of those saves, especially on Saturday from Tracy, were just top tier. Like that game, I didn't get to watch the Saturday game, so I didn't really get a feel of how close that was for us not getting all 6 points there. But shout out those guys because they brought that home.
They
really
definitely put the team on their back on Saturday.
So I don't know what happened here. I think our producer mixed up accounts somewhere over the summer when we switched from recording on Zoom to this Riverside software. But last week, Chattin Mavericks hit 50 episodes. So I think we're technically at 51 or 52 now. I got to go kind of recount, but thought we'd mention that. So shout out you guys and shout out all the listeners for making this thing happen. So
that's pretty
kind of a cool milestone. I don't know. Did anything happen last week in like the college hockey realm, Chad, that you can think of that was like a news story, maybe even like national level news story? I can't really think of much.
I don't think so. We've already said it like 3 times on the podcast. We've been recording for 15 minutes.
I mean, not nearly as big as your neighbor driving into your garage door, but some kid, the kid out east.
Yeah, so it's like he's making all that money or something out in Penn State. Yeah, Gavin McKenna, guys. I mean, we don't need to break down the story because I think everyone's probably aware of what's going on. I think as of, was it yesterday that some of the charges or all the charges or something were officially dropped?
They dropped the big charge. They dropped like the one
like
that
the 20-year
felony. Yeah.
So basically, his draft stock is through the roof now because the coaches know he's got a sick right hook.
I guess so, yeah. Skill guy that can fight too. I mean, Chad, I'll throw it to you, and then Juts, what? I mean, takeaways from that whole ordeal. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was so crazy that when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's
got to be fake.
He's the type of player where it just seems like when he's not on the ice, they have him wrapped up in bubble wrap and like stored away in a closet somewhere because they don't want anything to happen to him. But just as more details played out and the way this kid was pushing his buttons and saying things about his mom, like I was Team McKenna like the whole way. Like I'm sure he tried to find his way out of it. I'm sure his teammates tried to keep him out of trouble, and that kid just kept going and going, and it was waiting for him to come outside. Like he got what he deserved.
Yep.
Yeah. At first I was like, Gavin McKenna's the kind of guy that can pay his way out of prison or like out of getting in trouble. And then I was like, okay, I hear the story. Like, it's like the perfect like fuck around and find out thing. Like, the chances that he was alone there, 0. The chances he had 30 guys behind him, probably 100. Like, you don't pick on one kid on a hockey team and expect not to get just smoked because like someone's going to do it for him if it doesn't happen.
That's
like, if you're standing out there waiting for them to leave, he's not leaving alone. Like, The dude was asking to get jumped. And
That's honestly it.
It's honestly kind of the best case scenario that kid didn't get hurt more if you're poking a whole team.
His jaw's wired shut, but yeah.
But okay, like
Shout out Kanye.
you can have one punch can break your jaw.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? Like he could have got hit a lot more.
Well, to your point though, I am surprised that some like fourth liner or healthy scratch dude didn't just step in and clock that kid for him.
Right.
But I mean, good for Gavin.
Gotta fight your own battles sometimes.
Yeah, good on him.
Guess so. Yeah, I'd agree with everything you guys just said.
I mean, I'm sure it's kind of like F you, your parents gave you everything you've ever had, you know, like all that shit. So
yeah,
sure.
Just like the common shit. And then like Cam said to me on Friday night, you're from Chad, fuck you. You never have to work for anything.
Just being a moron in the group chat. Obviously no Play It Again series breakdown this week. We don't have a series 2 breakdown.
I got more news.
Oh, you got more news. Okay, more news.
Yeah. The women's basketball team is the NSIC conference champions.
Nice. They went completely undefeated this year, right? Like something and all.
Oh, they're not. It's not over yet.
Okay.
They're still like.
Oh, they've already won it. You're saying
they've already won it. They're just that dominant.
Numbers,
they've already won the regular season championship.
Yeah, that's crazy. So shout out women's basketball. I saw men had a big win last night. Men
have been doing pretty well. Like they started off pretty poorly, and have now been catching fire. So
yeah, shout out some other sports there in the Maverick Nation. So love to see that. They've been just dominant the past couple of years. It's been crazy to watch. Obviously the national title back to back men's and women's there the same year was pretty sweet. But like we said, no series breakdown. So let's hop into the action from this past weekend in the hardest conference in college hockey, the CCHA Out of Town Scoreboard presented by Captain's Patch. Win or lose, if you're looking to booze, you got to get your lips on the can of a Captain's Patch. This raspberry lemon infused shandy is perfect for any occasion, whether you're watching the Mavs, hitting up the ODR, pre-gaming Front Street, or celebrating your kids' win in the parking lot of All Seasons Arena. Captain's Patch always satisfies. Wherever you end up finding your C, be sure to snag a pic and tag Captain's Patch and 10K takes on Instagram and X. Drink up, Mankato. Captain's Patch, earn your C. Yeah, let's run through the scores quick because obviously pretty much every game that plays now has some kind of implication on the Mavs, whether you like it or not. And it's getting confusing on who we need to cheer for to win and lose when we're not playing. But needless to say, on Friday, Michigan Tech over Augustana 3-2 in overtime. Bowling Green falling to the Tommies there in overtime 3-2. And then Bemidji losing to Ferris State 6-3 in regulation. So some interesting scores there, some stuff going to overtime there on Friday. Then Saturday, Michigan Tech over Augustana in regulation, which was a pretty big win there for Tech. Bowling Green over St. Thomas 3-1. This was probably the biggest surprising score of the weekend. And then Bemidji salvaging a little bit of their weekend there in overtime over Ferris State 4-3. So, yeah, guys, I'll throw it to you. I mean, you guys got anything on these scores? Obviously, it's getting at this point, Josh, I think you said it. We kind of got to cheer for St. Thomas just to win now. Like it's kind of their thing to run away with.
It's not mathematically eliminated, but now I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a tweet in the next couple days, like, "Hey, we did the math. We might be eliminated." Bowling Green getting 4 sucks, but Bowling Green has a hard schedule, and we have to play Bowling Green. If we take 6 from Bowling Green,
that's a big series.
We're in a good thing to get home ice. Granted, I would like to get 2 so we could get 2 series at home. But at this point, I just like to get quarterfinals. I want to say Josh Kotite, absolute masterclass on that overtime goal on Friday.
That was so bad.
Hits you in the shoulder and goes in. I could have made that save, and I haven't skated in 3 years. And then big thing on Friday. Adam Fleming got hurt pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty.
I saw Jared's tweet. It was like it looked like a pretty serious injury.
Yeah. Was that the same dude that got wrecked earlier this year too?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, at St. Cloud.
Yeah, that's the same guy that got stretched off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you're right.
It is. I don't know. He didn't play Saturday, and from Jared's tweet, sounds like it's pretty serious. If he's not playing, that dramatically changes our series this weekend. But the kid that replaced him did get the overtime winner.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Adam Fleming not being there, he's probably their best player from what. Obviously, I don't watch them as much as I did last year. But though it would be, and then St. Thomas would rather lose. I think Aaron Trotter went into that game thinking, fuck the Mavericks. Like,
probably.
Like, I've never seen someone hate the Mavericks more than Aaron Trotter does. Like, he's willing to lose a game to not help us out. What a love thy neighbors. I tweeted, I was like, love thy neighbors, lost on them.
Yeah, Chad, what do you got from the scores this weekend? We could also run through the standings quick if you wanted, but you got any thoughts there?
Well, we were texting each other just all weekend, like, what are we supposed to cheer for? How do we want this? Do we want overtime? Do we want sweeps? Like, how are we supposed to look at this? Like, I think I didn't look any further than just I want these two teams to beat up on each other. I think splits is the best way to go. I mean, if we're still trying to win the McNaughton, which it is still possible. It's possible, but we need, Lake States and your Ferris State, the teams at the bottom to upset some teams. I mean, St. Thomas still has to play Augustana and Bemidji. Like, it's not out of the question. Well, it's still there, but it's a matter of what's most likely to happen and how do we best benefit from it.
Yeah. This weekend going forward, if the top teams lose, that's great, because if we can take care of Bemidji this weekend, and then when Bowling Green, when all those other when all the teams that are below that cutoff line for home ice play the upper teams that are above us, obviously we want those upsets to happen, because then we can start leapfrogging and get our way back into, 3 or 2 or maybe even 1, which it's not out of the question. Let's run through the standings quick just while we're talking about it. St. Thomas is at the top at 47, Michigan Tech 45, Augustana 42, Bowling Green 40, Minnesota State 37, Bemidji 30, Lake State 20, Ferris 13, and Northern at 11. So obviously, like, us and Bowling Green are pretty tight, and if we can take care of the points this weekend against Bemidji, which that needs to happen, we can kind of hopefully leapfrog Bowling Green if Bowling Green loses this weekend, and then we can start worrying about Augustana, and then we can start worrying about Michigan Tech, and then we can start worrying about St. Thomas. I guess the way I look at it, does that make sense, Chad?
Well, I mean, because we're playing Bowling Green's somewhat out of the question, because if we have 6 games left and 18 possible points, that puts us at a max of 55. St. Thomas has 4 games left, which their max would be 61. So
so they need to lose.
We need those teams to lose. Bowling Green, we need to win no matter what. So Bowling Green's somewhat out of the question. But then where it gets murky is Augustana's playing St. Thomas, and they're 5 points ahead of us with 2 games in hand. Like, it just gets really complicated.
For sure.
I would not be surprised if we are mathematically eliminated if St. Thomas sweeps this weekend or Augustana sweeps this weekend. I think we'd be
very, very possible.
I think even if we sweep, it might be too late. Like,
St. Thomas needs 8 points to eliminate us mathematically.
Okay, so it won't happen this weekend unless we get.
Which, we saw St. Thomas falter this week. Like, I mean, if you're the Tommies, giving up points to Bowling Green was just a huge, huge L on the weekend. Yeah, I mean that was. I don't know. Maybe as good as they've been, their goaltending has just been floundering. Like, they just do not know what to do with goaltending. Even the week against Lake State, they start Musser and he gets pulled in the first period after letting in 3 goals.
Speaking of getting pulled, Eli Pulver.
Ooh, yeah. Friend of the pod, friend of the family. So, but I mean, goaltending is just tough in general.
Let's be real here. His team in front of him has been horseshit.
Yes,
there's only so much you can do when you get hung out to dry. So, like, it looks bad on paper, but
I really wish we would at least squeezed out 1 win against Wisconsin, because the ties are not looking as good as they used to. So,
well, they were freaking insane in the first half and then just haven't been any good.
Right.
Did you guys see that tweet where there was like 8 games on Friday between teams that are in the top 20 in the NPI?
Oh,
and
yeah, from
some of them
Schlossman.
went to overtime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's parodying college hockey at its finest right there.
That just means that that just keeps saying that anyone could beat anybody. But
Yeah.
that's crazy that they're just like all that
And
even matched.
On that note, the Mavs did move up in the pairwise in the MPI to 16 for not even playing. So we'll take that for what it is. That's, I mean, kind
It's
of an
not
interesting,
Us
it's kind of an interesting stat line. But I mean, hey, if we really turn it on, we can almost win out the rest of the year. That could keep getting up there, and it's not out of the conversation for sure. So
I don't remember. Do playoffs count, or once you're in playoffs, your NPI is stuck?
No, it still counts, and because they do the polls all the way through that last week, so the MPI still goes in playoffs.
Because it's like we almost have to win our conference to get an at-large bid, but then at that point, we'd already have the bid.
I know that's kind of how it was last year too. You guys got anything more? Should we? You got anything more in this? And we can obviously talk more with our guest here, but
sure,
let's do it. It's time for this week's interview, brought to you by Maverick Sports Grill, located on Front Street. Mavericks is just a short walk away from the Mayo, making it the perfect pregame spot for a meal and drink. With penalty box booths, more Maverick memorabilia than the bookstore, fantastic food, a mini jumbotron, and a wide variety of drinks, you're going to feel right at home as a member of the Mav fam. Be sure to stop in next time you're hanging out downtown Mankato. Let's throw it over to this week's guest. All right, this week on Chattin Mavericks, we're going with another unique guest, an all-time CCHA knower of ball. You can hear him on the CCHA show and the Reporters Corner podcast every week. You can also read his work on the Bemidji Pioneer. Maverick Nation, this is the best mustache in college hockey, Jared Rubado. Jared, welcome to the show. It's long overdue.
Thanks. It's not a mustache right now. I have been so lazy at shaving. It's not even like trying. Like I've just been lazy. Like there's no excuse. I got to get back to work on Monday. Early 6 a.m. Get up and lift, shave the beard, all that stuff. But no, thanks for having me, guys. I've listened to the show. I was talking with Cam last week. I love the episode you guys did last week with. And I'm forgetting his name, but the Bethany guy, I love that stuff. Like the Greg. Yeah. I love the behind the scenes stuff. And I thought it was so cool that you guys, kind of got the lowdown on the production stuff. It's super unique to do that. So, great work, boys.
Yeah, it was. Of course, that's the one that Chad wasn't there for.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I'm not needed, apparently.
That was
hit that little
super,
red button in the bottom corner now, big bag. Goodbye.
No, Jared, I mean, I really enjoy and appreciate your coverage of the CCHA. It's fun to, kind of finally meet you and have you virtually on here. We've interacted on X a lot, and this is fun to bring it together. So just kind of, what's your look at the CCHA and college hockey in general? Like what's kind of like the CCHA is kind of crazy this year. The parity is all there. I mean, what are your kind of biggest takeaways from the year so far? It's, maybe a little bit of a down year here in Mankato, a lot of hockey left, but
down here in Mankato, I mean, yikes! It's not much better. 4 hours north right now.
It's cold.
No, I mean, it's certainly a weird year in the CCHA. I think some things were kind of expected. Like, I don't think anybody should be surprised with how well St. Thomas has played. I don't think anybody should be surprised with how poor Northern Michigan and Ferris State have played. I think everybody else, kind of in between those, you can make a case that something is going a little differently than they thought. Like, I know Augustana finished second in the league last year, and they had this big year as their first full-time league member and stuff. But I still when you kind of project their roster going into the season, they didn't have a center. Their top line center, who was second in the league or third in the league in faceoffs last year, and Luke Mobley graduates. And they didn't really replace him with a true number 1C in the portal or in the, in their freshman class. And what do you know? I mean, they're just fine down the middle with Chakrabarty and Yastrzemski, and, Bulgakov now sets the program record for goals in a year. That's a little unexpected. I had them finishing bottom 5, and they're probably going to finish top 4. I didn't think Minnesota State would have the defensive struggles they have, like with how much they brought back defensively. Alex Tracy, right? Like I thought, like I said it a million times on however many shows I've done, but it was like, I have no issue. Like it's just a race to 3 in every Minnesota State game. Like that's what I thought it was going to be, and
That's what we thought it was.
and it's a little bit more wide open than that. Like it's, which is really surprising. Bemidji State being as loose defensively as they are with, you know, the defenders they brought back, and I that was a little surprising. You know, even Michigan Tech, like I thought Michigan Tech was going to have a longer time trying to figure it out. So, you know, you kind of go up and down the list. Like that's where it gets a little, you know, hard to predict in the CCHA, which is, you know, not dissimilar from any other college hockey conference, but certainly a weird year. And things got tighter this weekend. Like I didn't expect them to get tighter. You know, I thought St. Thomas would find a way to probably take 4 points at Bowling Green. I'm not as high on Bowling Green this year. I think they don't have a top line, like a true top line. It's a rotation in goal, which it gives me pause, especially in February. And then they're the least disciplined team maybe in the entire country right now. It's bowling. What Bowling Green is doing, like Gustav Sternberg is like, it's crazy what this guy's doing. Like he's been kicked out of 4 of the last 6 games he's played. Like that is unbelievable. And when he got kicked out of the game on Friday night, I had 5 texts within the like 3 minutes of it happening because I've been just tweeting about Gustav Sternberg every weekend for the past month, and it's like, Sternberg kicked out again. Here he goes, and so you know, but it's a weird year. It not totally unexpected, but certainly a little bizarre from time to time.
I thought for sure the Tommies were going to kind of run away with it this weekend. I thought they were going to be able to get 6. That was unexpected, I guess, on my part. But Chad, what do you got?
I mean, you kind of touched on both of these, but I think the 2 biggest, well, one for sure, the biggest surprise for me has been how well Michigan Tech has played with a new coach, new coaching staff. They've always been a good team. They've never been, you know, historically in the dumpster.
Good, not great.
Yeah, you could say good, not great. That's a good way to. I like that. Where'd that come from?
They fired him.
But now that Joe's selling, you know, used cars and McCult comes in, I mean, I think that's been the biggest surprise for me this season. How do you? I mean, did you know much about McCult before he came in and kind of what he brought to that team?
That's a good question.
I mean, he had the history at Tech. He had the history at Michigan. He gets the crack at Lindenwood last year. Lindenwood was an interesting team last year because I think you saw like the bones of that team were a little bit better than I think the end result, like with Prouty and Bartoskevich. And but I think Michigan Tech is a fascinating program because they have a lot of backing to them. Like it's a dedicated alumni base with a good amount of donors, not dissimilar from Minnesota State in a lot of ways, or you know even like a Bowling Green. Like it's when you have like kind of that rich tradition of hockey, and there's really the only like big thing on campus. That's where it gets a little dissimilar from Bowling Green, but like, you know, you get those really passionate fan bases and fan bases with some deeper pockets, and especially like an engineering school, like they're pumping out kids that are making 6 figures at 23. So, you know, for Tech, like for me, it came down to the roster construction, and they went very CHL heavy. I thought them being able to get non-aged out CHL kids, like kids that were going to have to leave the CHL early, was a sign that maybe they had a little bit more cooking than was probably thought of when Joe Sean was exited.
That's a great way to put it.
Shown the door.
He was exited.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Sean was an interesting one to work with from like an interview perspective. I remember when they came to Bemidji for the Mason Cup 2 years ago, and the Mason Cup from the media side of things is like the week of it, like for when Bemidji hosted it was so weird because, you know, the usual stuff is Monday. All right, like CCHA press releases, like for awards and stuff, come out. You do kind of put a bow on the weekend. Tuesday, I go to the rink, do all the midweek press conference stuff. I usually write my stuff on Wednesday, Thursday, and then get ready for the game Friday. For the Mason Cup, the game's Friday. It's the one-off game.
Yep.
We do the press conference Tuesday for just Bemidji, and then on Thursday you do another press conference, and that's for both teams, and they bring everybody in there, right? So Territory comes in. I think it was Kyle Loft came in for that one, and then Tech was second. And it's a room. There's probably 20 people in the room. Half of them are like CCHA production people in the background. Joe Sean walks in. He's like eyeing up everybody in the room, and he gets to me, and he's like, "Oh, hey, you're the podcast boy." And I'm like, and the reason he said it is because I went on Tech Hockey Guide that week, and I didn't even have a podcast at the time. Like, you couldn't associate a podcast with me at the time. And the first thing is he like locked eyes and he's like, "Podcast boy," and I'm like, "Sure, yeah, I'll take it." Like, whatever. And I, to be honest, I never had a bad interaction with Joe Sean. Like, he's
me neither.
I thought his interviews were. I'm sure you guys have it. He's just a bizarre guy. Like that press conference last year that he did, where he's like the good, not great team, like stunning. Like, like, why are you doing that? Like, like, what is the point of that? You know, and but he would like, I think if you watched all of his press conferences, not that you guys would have any reason to, but like stuff like that would happen like once a month. And it was just like, you know, it felt watching. Like every once in a while. I'm sure. Yeah, that's a good point. But like, I'm sure like like stuff like that could come up like all the time with him. And they'd ask him like 2 questions and the press conference would be 6 minutes long. Like he just would just ramble and ramble and ramble. Like, you know, but a very interesting guy. And there's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff gets a little hairy like that too. But you know,
have you heard Chad's story of his interaction with Joe Sean after the Mavericks game?
No,
Chad,
please do tell. I'd love to hear.
Chad, you got to put this in.
So
here.
Our seats are right by the tunnel where the Mavericks come out. And obviously after the period, the players go across the ice and then the coaches go through the same tunnel and then around back to their locker room. So he's walking towards the tunnel, and it was the Friday night game. We were just taking it to him. I don't even remember what the score is, but we were kicking their ass.
I think.
Yeah. And I was, you know, I maybe had couple drinky poos at Mavericks before the game. But so I had
a couple of drink tickets.
I had a little liquid courage in me, and I came down to the railing and I screamed down to Joe. I'm like, "Hey Joe, you're getting your ass kicked by a great team, not a good team." And he looks up at me and he's like, "You think that's a great team?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're kicking your ass." I was convinced that he was just going to keep walking and I was going to be like, "Haha, got him," sat back in my seat. But when he looked up at me, I was like, "Oh no, what is going to happen next?"
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising. Knowing the history of Joe Sean, like we're talking about a coach that got in an altercation with a player in a handshake line. Yeah. Like, This is not normal stuff. I don't know if they don't make coaches like him anymore, for better or worse. Like, no. You know, he was very online. Like he read and saw a lot of what a lot of people posted, more in the Michigan Tech circle, of course, right? Like, but he was a very online guy, and he had no problem giving it back. Like the one thing about Joe Sean is like he would never start that interaction with like an opposing fan. Like he's not going to look up to Big Bag and be like, "Good team, not a great team." Like, but you give it to him, like he'll sit there and give it back. And like, you know, I do kind of admire that in a coach, like a guy that's got a little bit of FU to him, like, you know, that can use the right way for any sport, not just hockey. Like if a coach can use that aspect of him the right way, that's an incredible boost for a team. Like I would be surprised 0% if Luke Strand is sitting there being like, hey, Joe Shaw told you you're a good team, not a great team, right? Like, like using it to fire up, like, get a little chip on your shoulder, like use it. Like bulletin board material is a real thing. Like I think that's the one thing I've learned about covering college hockey is like, you know, in my job, a lot of times it feels like you're writing to nobody. Like, you know, you go to the game, you publish it at 10:30, it goes up, you know, you get the Twitter interactions, right? It pops off on Facebook a little bit, but it doesn't, like, you can't put a name to a face of someone who reads it. But pretty frequently I'm reminded that, like, oh no, players and coaches and all the fans, they read and, you know, they see everything I do. And so when I kind of dog on a player during a game, that player is going to see it. And, you know, I've had some like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have tweeted that, or, you know, probably shouldn't have wrote that. Like I'm dealing with it right now. I got a message from a boys basketball parent, you know, this morning, because I wrote a kid couldn't hit the broadside of a barn nor water if he fell out of a boat.
Why would?
So yeah, I mean, granted, he's like one of their leading scorers, and he had 6 points with 2 minutes left, and I'm like,
yeah,
you know, and it was like a redemption story. Like, he got hot, like he had 8 points in overtime. Like, he was great. He was a great kid. I love the kid to death. Like, he's gonna come to Bemidji State next year, but like, he had a tough game. So I wrote he had a tough game, and Mom wasn't happy about it. So
that's.
Gavin McKenna is never going to have a reporter write bad about him again. It's going to be, he's got it figured out.
A couple people on Twitter, the boys would come up and be like, man, fuck that guy. Like, he doesn't say anything nice. Like when we have a bad game, like, we know we're going to hear it from you guys. But when we have a good game, it's like, yeah. So like, you got to give them like both sides. We're like,
definitely. And like, at the end of the day too, like, these kids are adults. Like, you know, if I could take it back, I'd probably do the high school kid differently. Probably wouldn't say that, but you know, like for college kids, right? Like, you know, I'll never forget. Like, Bemidji State had like a tough stretch last year, kind of similar to this year, and you know, couldn't win a game. They got swept at home by Northern and Ferris. You guys know a little bit about losing to Northern, and you know, so and it gets to the end of the season. You know, I'm. Sorry. And I know the AD at Bemidji State pretty well. She's awesome. You know, it's pretty rare that an AD is as involved as Bemidji State's is, and she deserves a lot of credit for that. But, you know, I was in her office kind of poking around at some behind the scenes stuff for a story I was working on in the fall. And she goes, Jared, do you know what my favorite story you wrote was? And I was like, I don't know, probably Mason Cup story where I just, you know, gassed up your program for 2,000 words. And she was like, no, my favorite story was after the men's hockey team got swept by Northern, because I ripped them a new one. Like, it was scathing. Like, every insult stat you can find about Bemidji State was in that story. And she's like, I like that story because you didn't like window dress it. Like, you just gave it to them. Like, you told it like it had to be told, and they were not playing well. And like, I like that. And so like, that's like kind of, I think as long as if you do that, you have to do it the other way. Just like Judd said, right? Like, you can't, if you're there to just dog on them, or you're there to just, you know, glaze them, right? Like, it's not the way to go. Like, you kind of have to just tell it how it is. And like, even last night, like, it was, Bemidji State wins in overtime, beats Ferris State. It was and Bemidji State doesn't really care about points right now, right? Like, they're just looking for wins, right? It is a tough second half stretch, right? But if it was anybody other than Vincent LaBelle scoring that goal, like a kid who was in and out of the lineup, that story would have been like, well, blew it again, kind of thing. Like, tough stretch, right? But, you know, you just got to be honest about the situation. I think everybody, like, they're all adults. They all get it. They all know what's coming. So, you know, it is what it is.
Absolutely. So, Juts, what do you got?
Yeah. So about like Vincent LaBelle, obviously he was in for Fleming. What is he doing? And then like, what's the goalie situation? Because like, I know they were going every other kind of with Raythan and Hilbrand, but now it seems like Hilbrand's been playing even like every game, even though they've been on such a massive skid. Like, I don't know how you lose the net playing like losing as many games. So I'm just kind of confused on that.
Welcome to the club, Juts. No, first on Fleming, it wasn't good. Like, I still don't have an update. With Serratori and injuries, you kind of got to read between the lines a little bit. First time I ever asked him about an injury, I think I got yelled out of the media room. That's just Serratori ball. Like, you got to play it.
Go do a podcast.
Fleming's injury was an ugly one to watch too, and he got hurt in St. Cloud where he went headfirst in the boards and got stretchered off. Yeah, this one felt even a little uglier. Like, knowing, like, for Fleming, like the one where he got knocked out, like, it was kind of obvious he just got knocked out. Like, you gave the thumbs up and everything. Stretchers, in 2025, 26, like, it's more precautionary than anything. For sure. Fleming runs, like, collides. Like, it wasn't even a hit. Like, he almost just, like, kind of collides with a Ferris State player right in front of the BSU bench, goes down, and, like, immediately you can tell it's bad. And they open the door to the bench and he crawls off the ice. And then he, like, punches the side of the wall and then is just limping down the tunnel and not putting any weight on it. Like, I think it was his right leg, if I remember.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, like, I don't want to speculate, but it didn't look good. And so LaBelle comes in and he scores the winner last night. It was good for him. I mean, he was so due last night. I mean, he probably could have had a hat trick if it weren't for Martin Lundberg. But on the goalie front, it's like confusing at times, but then you kind of look at the numbers, it's really not that confusing. So like Josh is right. They started splitting, and Raythan Robbins is one of my favorite kids on this team for a lot of reasons, right? Like, he gets brought in. First of all, like, he was committed and went to Omaha. Omaha was a late ad, and Omaha was, like, I think they had a goalie with eligibility issues, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
They didn't think he was going to commit. He ends up being able to enroll, like, kind of around the same timeline of, like, Rhett Pitlick, like, where it's, like, either right at the start of school or, like, a week after school starts. And then Raythan Robbins goes back to the USHL, and he has an okay year. And then he commits to Bemidji State. But Bemidji State had Gavin Enright, who is going to be, I believe, a senior. And he was firmly going to back up Matthias Scholl, because Scholl had taken the net his freshman year. And Scholl gets hurt. Raythan gets a start, doesn't go well. He gets yanked. That was a good start. That was in Mankato.
Yeah. The student section was very
Juts, you know all about that game. Yeah, that was a Jackson Jutting masterclass. Yeah.
No, it was.
Yeah,
we remember that
one. Jackson Jutting, like, had a vendetta against you guys. Like,
he was so, like, it was just like, it's a long story. I don't know if, like, how much I can say, but, like, basically they did the whole, like, we want you here, but we only recruit from juniors. And he was like, okay.
Got it.
Yeah. Sort of thing.
So anyways,
I'm sure is kind of what, like, I don't know if that for sure happened, but but every time we play this, we're gonna lose. Like, he's gonna score 4 goals somehow, and we're gonna lose. Like, we'll lose 4-3, and he'll have 4 goals. Like,
right. So I'll get back to the goalie stuff quick. So the last year, right, second half doesn't kind of go as planned. I think Matthias Scholl just got burnt out. Like, he played so many games, and second half of the year, he was just fighting it a little bit. Like, he wasn't playing bad. Like, I that needs to be clear that Matthias Scholl is not playing bad last year. And I am a little bit of a homer towards goalies. Like, I played goalie. Like, I got the goalie pads in the background. My first ever goalie pads, right? Like,
me too.
I think iTech Profile 3000s. Like, they don't make them like that anymore. And so Raythan gets a game against Ferris. It goes okay. Like, and meanwhile, Bemidji State commits the WHL goalie of the year, and he was their first CHL commit, Max Hildebrand. It was a week after the rule change. He wasn't supposed to win WHL goalie of the year. Like, from all my understanding, it's like a drafted kid could have won it, or a younger kid with more eligibility. But Hildebrand played too well to not give him that award. And so he was kind of, for all intents and purposes, like the heir apparent to Matthias Scholl, right? Like a freshman coming in, Bemidji State likes to give the net to a goalie. They don't love doing a tandem, especially if there's a goalie with a hot hand. And the tandem worked in the first half. Like Raythan was playing well. Like he got the start. They opened the season in Anchorage, and that's Raythan's hometown. Like he grew up a half a mile away from the rink in Anchorage. Grew up going to Seawolves games, right? Yeah. He plays well, and he plays well the next weekend. He plays well the next weekend. You just can't sit this guy because he hasn't given you a reason to sit him. And meanwhile, Hildebrand's playing well. Like he hasn't given you a reason to sit him. And then, even the Duluth weekend, which was a really, really bad weekend, where they got pumped in both games, took way too many penalties. Hildebrand starts the first night, which was the first time they broke the tandem, and he gets pulled, and they went back to him the second night. He played really well. It was I think a 5-1 loss, but Bemidji State took 7 penalties and gave up 4 power play goals. And how much of that is on a goalie, right? Like, Cam, that's not on a goalie.
Unless the goalie takes a penalty in the last minute of a game, but my brother may or may not have done that last night, and then they scored in overtime. But it's neither here nor there. But
so then they kind of get to the midway point, and both of them start kind of teetering a little bit. Like Raythan didn't have a great game in St. Thomas. You didn't play that well against Tech. And I asked Territory about it last week, and they're just like, you know what? Like, we haven't played that well in front of Max, and we're just going to give him a little bit of run. And Hildebrand played well against Northern, stopped, I think, 36 to 37 shots, and the win that broke the streak. Yeah. He played well last night. The numbers don't really show it, but he made some insane big-time saves. He got pulled on Friday night. So, who knows? I think they're just trying to go with probably the higher upside goalie, like the higher ceiling, even though he might have a little bit of a lower floor right now, like the higher ceiling goalie, because Bemidji State just needs to kind of get going a little bit. And Hildebrand is, he's a big kid. He's quick. He's very technical. And I think they're just trying to unlock that a little bit. But I would also be surprised 0% if I showed up in Mankato on Friday and Raythan Robbins is starting.
I would honestly love to see Raythan Robbins start in Mankato again.
I'm sure he would love to start Mankato too, because he's a little bit of a different goalie than he was 2 years ago.
He might have a vengeance now. We don't want him to start.
To guy like Raythan is like the easiest kid to root for though, because he was never supposed to be a starting goalie in college hockey. Like he was third string for a year, backup for last year. And I cover a lot of high school sports and stuff too, and I can't tell you how many times I've showed up to the rink and Raythan's just sitting there working with peewee goalies or squirt goalies or banner goalies. Like, this is stuff that he's doing on his own time. Like, wants to be involved. He's not a Minnesota kid. He's not a local kid. And, he's just kind of ingrained himself in the hockey community here. And he's just such an easy kid to root for. So it's tough. It's tough for Raythan, but he's a consummate pro.
Yeah. Chad, what do you got?
I got one more. How do you feel about a certain goalie that is now committed to a certain team, ours?
Raiden Legal?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Obviously, I have a little more insight, and I know that like they were super stoked for both of them, and then kind of chose Mac over and said like, because I thought they were both going to come in, is what it sounded like mid-season last year, and then when they only got one, and I'm like, oh, I bet you he's going to not be committed for much longer. So I don't know if you have on that.
Good question.
It is a great question. Raiden Legal is an outstanding goalie prospect. Outstanding. I think maybe just a tad undersized if you're talking like pro recruiting prospect, right?
That's
perfect for Mankato. Perfect for the CCHA, right? Yeah. Like the CCHA breeds goalies like that are just a little too short or a little too light. And then, Dryden McKay's, winning Obie Baker. So, Raiden Legal is an excellent goalie prospect. I have no doubt he is going to be an outstanding college hockey goalie at some point, whether it's a freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, wherever. Yeah, it's just tough to bring in 2 underclassmen goalies and expect that there's only one net. And if you're putting in a lot of resources, like Bemidji State has to make a dollar stretch a lot farther than a lot of other schools, right? That's just the lot in life of the CCHA. It's no different for Lake State. It's no different than Mankato for, all intents and purposes, right? Like it's an NSIC school trying to compete against NCHC and Big Ten schools and other CCHA schools that, have a little bit more in the back pocket. So if you're trying to pour in a lot of resources and get players that are going to help you win a game, if you're spending a lot or, investing a lot of time into two kids where there's only one net, it's tough to keep both of them happy and both of them in line and for Bemidji. It's not to say it's impossible, but I think Raiden probably looked at the writing on the wall and said, I have a better shot to get more playing time in Mankato in lieu of Alex Tracy graduating than fighting for a spot at Bemidji State. And I have no ill will towards him, towards him doing it. Like you gotta look out for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like he's going to be a great college hockey goalie. I'm very curious to see how he'll look in college too. Like, it's hard to evaluate CHL players and it's really hard to evaluate CHL goalies. Like, I thought Hildebrand would be having, I thought he'd find a little bit more of a flow this year, and he just hasn't. It's just tough for him. And you wonder if that's going to be the same for Raiden Legault too. Like it's bigger, faster, stronger stuff. So, but no, he's going to be great. I think Mavs fans are going to love him.
Yeah.
It's nice for us because we got Max sitting back there that can help ease him in. And I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if we did next year what you guys did at the beginning of the year.
Like a tandem.
Because it's hard for a freshman goalie, like you said, to start and get going because
that's kind of what we saw with Tracy and Rancier for. Rance played most of his freshman year, and then they kind of tandemed that.
What did Strand say at the Blue Line Club? He's like, "How many of you knew Tracy as a freshman?"
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like,
very different guy.
And a lot of people raise their hand like, you're lying because he wasn't that good. Like Coach Spacey said that. He's like, it's hard for freshman goalies to come in and play every game.
Right.
So,
yep. Chad, what do you got?
You touched on it earlier. I want to go to that article you wrote about the Mason Cup. I mean, it came out a while. I'm sure everybody read it. It was just fantastic article. I was enthralled by the whole thing. Like, it was just an awesome read. And honestly, like, being in our own little college hockey world, whenever I talk to people about college hockey, they don't, more often than not, they're not going to know what's going on, but everybody knew what was going on with that story. It just seemed to explode and kind of put them on the map. And that article you wrote was just absolutely fantastic. If you haven't read it yet, please go out and read it. It's a great read about literally everything that went down that night in the championship game.
That was the longest book Juts ever read. It's huge.
I read a picture book yesterday.
Juts didn't even read it. He had Grok summarize it for him.
The worst part is, I think you're probably right.
So I have two questions that have been kind of in my brain ever since I read that article, and the first one is, I mean, there were sources all over the place and just minute by minute what was going down. How long did that take to finish? I mean, you had to talk to 1 million people to get that story. Okay,
I am so happy you asked, but I could talk about that story until the start of next week's episode. Like, I love it's one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to do. So I'll give you kind of the backstory of how it kind of came together, right? So I was in Sioux Falls that weekend, the weekend before, for Bemidji State Augustin in the first round. Bemidji State loses the first night, and they don't have a shot on goal in the third period. I thought they were done, cooked. I grew up a huge Wild fan, goalie fan too. Like, Marc-Andre Fleury is my favorite goalie. I have a figurine of him in my living room, right? Like, and my parents had tickets to the Wild game on Sunday against the Penguins. Fleury playing one of his last games, right? Like, you think it's probably going to be one of his playing the Penguins, right? Like, and my mom was like, I had never seen him play in person. My mom's like, hey, you can take my ticket, go with Dad. I'm like, hell yeah. Now the Bees are going to lose on Saturday. Like, I'll be in St. Paul on Sunday. Like, this is great. Bees win on Saturday,
Yeah.
so I don't get to go to the game. And now I'm like, all right, now I'm staying until Sunday, and I still don't think they're going to win. So I'm just like delaying my trip back to Bemidji. I had a meeting at 8 a.m. in Bemidji on Monday morning. So then Sunday's game happens. Of course, 5 o'clock start on a Sunday night in the CCHA. Brutal. It goes to overtime, of course, and then Bemidji wins. And now I got to like, okay, you got to do the whole big thing, right? You pump the tires, flaming, yada, yada, yada. And so I finally get in my car to drive back to Bemidji that night at 11:30. It's about a 6-hour drive.
Mhm.
I'm pretty good friends with Brad Schlossman. He works in our company, and he's helped me a ton. Like my first summer I got hired, I sent him an email being like, you have no idea who I am. You should not know who I am, but I'm covering college hockey for the first time. I want your, give me tips and tricks. And since then, he's been a huge help. So every once in a while, I'll send him a story and be like, hey, rip this apart. Like, tell me what you do differently, constructive, like, just like, I want to be the best I can. So like, help me out.
Yeah.
And he's reading the story as I'm driving back, and he caught like a typo I had in there. He's like, hey, just so you know, you forgot like a comment here. And I text him. I was like, sweet, I'll pull over on the side of the interstate and fix it. He goes, well, shit, don't do that. Like, I'll just fix it for you. And then he's like, how, where are you driving to? I was like, back to Bemidji. He goes, sweet. Like, do you want to just hop on the phone? I can kind of go through all this stuff. So we went, he calls me, and for about the first half hour, kind of going through the story and stuff. And then he's like, all right, so what do you got planned for next week? I was like, well, could do a big thing on Jackson Jutting, like, going to back to Mankato, last game of Mankato kind of thing. And then, maybe I'll do like a rewind thing for the 2022 Mason Cup. He goes, forget the Jackson Jutting story. Just do the Mason Cup. Like, that's the big one.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, how would you do it? And he goes, well, you just got to kind of go back and see what people said about it and come up with it. And I'd say for the next 2 hours, we brainstormed every single person that I could call and contact and how we could do it. And I kind of came up with the idea of, everything was on Twitter at the time. So everything was timestamped. Like, it was the biggest thing in the hockey world that night. Like, for one time, the CCHA was at the center of the hockey world. So everybody was talking about it. And it was before I got hired. So the old sports guy here went on Twitter that night and basically took all of the top tweets and put them in like a story on our site. And it just had everything. Like, everything was perfectly timestamped. And so I got back, made my 8 a.m. meeting, and I just started calling people. I called Sarah Torrey. Sarah Torrey told me to call this old player who was involved. And then he told me to call another old player. And then I got Dante Lawson, who was he was a senior last year. Loved Dante, such a sweet kid.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, who actually was part of this? It was my friend. What was his name?
Bay?
Bay. Yes. Yeah. Bay Zulke. That was his name. Yeah. He goes, hey, Bay Zulke was the kid. Like, you got to talk to this kid. He was the one that started it. And it wasn't even in a town. It was like a township of Minnesota. He was sitting crisscross applesauce in his living room watching the game. And he sees the net pop up, pulls out his phone, and just starts screaming at the TV.
Yeah, because Dante was the one that showed the phone to Coach, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well,
Dante.
no. Yes. That's the only thing I couldn't figure out is who was the one to actually show the phone to Sarah Torrey.
I wasn't supposed to say that. My bad.
No, it's in the article.
No. Because Dante said, or Sarah Torrey said that Dante showed him. But Sarah Torrey's the only one that said that. Dante said Brad Belisle showed him, and Brad Belisle said that he showed him. No, Sarah Torrey's 61 years old. I'm probably going to go with the younger guys there on the memory front. And like, basically they were showing him this Snapchat video that was taken in Bovey, Minnesota. And it went to Tom, and then Tom runs out on the ice and shoves his phone in Lucia and Hasty's face. And he's like, guys, look, it's not a goal. It's not a goal. And my favorite part was Hasty being like, well, good luck with that, Tom. And then just kind of walking off to go celebrate. But it was just one of those things where, like, you call a person and they say, oh, you know who you should talk to? This person. Talk to this person. Talk to this person. And by the end of it, I think I did 23 interviews that week. I used 19 of them, but it was from 8 a.m. basically 9 a.m. on Monday until about 11 a.m. On Friday. Pressed the publish button, drove to Mankato. It was great though. I loved it. Like, it's my favorite story ever. Like I was talking with Cam about it because I actually that's when I found out about the Bethany stuff, because I was like, I wanted to figure out what the TV was like. I mean, 72 minutes in between a game. What broadcast is staying on for 72 minutes, right? So like, what did they do? I got in touch with the security guy. Like, did you have to have a ticket to go back to the game? No, you didn't. The only people that said no to an interview for that story was the Northeastern AD and coach. Because I was curious if Bemidji State had won that game, if Northeastern would have sued the NCAA. Because the CCHA did something that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, when the refs leave the ice, the game is supposed to be done and final. It's the equivalent of signing the score sheet. The refs obviously left the ice and the game was final. And if that game flips, Northeastern might have had a legal precedent to sue the NCAA for not getting in, because there are financial ramifications for not making the NCAA tournament. And so I and granted, I totally understand why Northeastern didn't want to say, yeah, we would have sued the NCAA. Like, it's like saying, you're just like, hey, why don't I voluntarily put myself in hot water with our governing body? Like, you're not going to do that. But yeah, it was great. I can't remember the old Mavs player I chatted with, but he was awesome. Like, the locker room stories of it happening. Like, McNeely.
He's a beauty.
One of Brad Belisle is one of my favorite interviews. Like, if I ever need like an old BSU story, like, I'll call him. But he was like, just to him remembering what it was like sitting in the locker room waiting for the answer of what's going to happen, and then coaches are just coming in, sitting in the stalls, being like, well, we don't know what's happening. Like, nobody knew. Like, it's bizarre. The boos that the refs got, like, listening back to that was insane. Like,
that place was like maybe a third, maybe at most half full by the time everyone got back in there. That sound that the crowd made when people got back in there was probably one of the loudest reactions I've heard in that building. It was maybe on half TV. Full. And
you could just hear how drunk and annoyed the crowd was, because everyone went on down to celebrate, and then they walked back, and I'm just like seeing my friends stumble. I'm like,
it's 2-for-1s.
Yeah, like, the boys are. If we lose this game, we might riot in the streets
again.
The bars were, I think, so crucial into getting people back into the mail that night too, because one of the bar owner basically got a text saying, or maybe it was a call being like, hey, this game's like restarting. And they were basically just like, I think I don't remember if I put this in, but I think they were like flipping the lights on and off or something, like, everybody get back to the rink. Like, this game's going to happen again. And like, so,
well, weren't they saying like you didn't even have to pay your tabs? Like, you could come back later and pay your tabs.
Yes. Yeah.
That was
they left all the tabs open. Yeah. Rounders. Yeah. And so the guy who told me to call Rounders was Kyle Loft, of all people.
I see Kyle at Rounders all the time.
So I called Lufty because obviously he played that game. He's a Mankato native, right? Like, and he was in it was last. So yeah, he was first year in Texas in the AHL, and I just shot him a text, being like, "Hey, I'm doing this. Like, if you got time, call me." And he calls me, and his fiance was on the phone. They were both on speakerphone, and Lufty didn't remember, but his fiance went to the game, and she was like, basically, he was like verifying everything with his fiance, but he's like, "Oh, you know who you should call is Rounders. Like, everybody goes to Rounders after the game. Like, that's like the spot for a lot of fans, and like they would have the answer for you." And so, like, how I got the security guy on the phone, I just called the rink and said, "Hey, do you have like the head of security's number? Looking to do this story." And they're like, "Sure, I guess." And the security guy was great. Like, that's the thing about that story. Like, everybody wanted to talk about it. Everybody. Like, it's one of those things that will go down in the college hockey lore forever. And for one night, the CCHA was the center of the hockey world, and I think that is just the coolest thing ever.
Well, I'm really glad that you brought up the Northeastern part of it, because that goes into my second question that I had for you, and that's, I mean, the perfect storm of events has to happen for that game to be replayed. If Bay storms out of the room because he's mad that they lost and doesn't see the replay, if Dante doesn't pick up his phone, if Belial comes to Dante and says, "Yeah, man, you know what's done is done. We can't do this." If Lucia says, "Hey, sorry," like, could you?
Yeah,
you could arguably say that if nothing happened, if the game just ended, that could have been a bigger story with the legal implications, with the everything else that could have happened if they just let that game end. You could argue it's as big, if not bigger, story if one of those things brings that to an end.
Definitely. And I think in that respect, you kind of got to look at the context of the team it would have happened to, and it being Bemidji State, right? Like if that game ends on the goal that goes under the net, obviously Bemidji State gets the short end of the stick. They lose a game they never lost. Knowing the coaching staff, knowing the administration, I think they would have went the route of, you know what, it's tough, but that's sports. And sometimes Saratori said it to me last night, talking about the 6-on-5 goal they gave up to Ferris. He goes, we had Max and Vic drop his stick and we're in 6-on-5 and it basically becomes 6-on-4. And if he doesn't drop his stick, we maybe clear the puck and win it in regulation, but that's the way the ball bounces sometimes. Now, what he wanted to say was that Max and Vig had his stick slashed out of his hands behind the net away from the play, but Saratori's not going to say that. And so, for as funny as Saratori can be, he's very much a take the high road guy. And so as much as it would have pissed him off, I think he would have taken the high road on that. But you're right. Everything had to happen very, very carefully for it to play out the way that it did. And, I think about the call I had with Hasty for that all the time. Cause the way, like, him and Tom go way back. I mean, they kind of came up in college hockey together, with Motzko and Troy Jutting and Scott Sandlin and Frank Saratori. Like, they're all part of the same kind of class of guys that were cut from the same cloth. And hearing how they talk about it now is pretty special, because it's like the way they talk about it is like they're in an old dive bar in the basement, sitting around a table. There's probably 20 empty mugs sitting in front of them, and they're just shooting the shit, talking stories. Like, it is the best version of those guys talking. And like Hasty, I called Hasty again before this season started, because I was doing a whole big thing on Saratori going into his 25th year, and I was just trying to get old Saratori stories that they liked. And Hasty's favorite Saratori story, he told me, was just the way that he handled that game. And for a lot of coaches, they'd have we've talked about one that would have definitely blown up in that moment, and rightfully so. Like, I think all bets are off for coaches at that point. Like, you get screwed out of an NCAA tournament appearance, you get free reign to pretty much say whatever you want behind closed doors to CCHA officials. So, but that's where Tom deserves probably a lot of credit, is how he handled it. Because I think if Tom handles it differently, it doesn't go the way it is. Like, sure, he was pretty assertive to Hasty and Luch, but I think if he goes in there starting to make demands instead of presenting the information, right, I think it goes a lot differently, But then again, like, if it's another commissioner other than Don Lucia, does he hear him out? I mean, Lucia is another guy who came up with Saratori and a little bit earlier than Saratori. Like, it's so. It's you're 100% right. It had to play out exactly the way that it did. And man, I could talk about that story forever and ever.
No kidding. My last question for you, then maybe we can just, kind of preview the weekend here. But in your opinion, parity this year in college hockey, especially with the CHL coming in, has just been it's been unbelievable. Crazy. Are we ever going to see teams like the Mavs had in kind of like the early 20s here in the past 5 years, where they would just go 39-6? Like, are we ever going to see that again in college hockey, or is it just going to keep getting, teams are going to beat up on each other and it's just going to be a crazy finish every year? Is that more likely, you think?
Oh, it's a really good question.
Yeah,
I do think the parity is probably here to stay, like, for the most part. Like, I think the the extent of it is kind of what we saw last year, where a team runs away with the league, but it's not like a 25-point difference between first and second. It's more of like 10 to 15 range, right? Like,
Yeah.
The thing about Mankato last year is, like, you know, every college hockey team is a flawed team, right? Like, every team has their issues. Even last year, like, you know, Mankato had, I think their biggest issue when it came to competing at like a national level was depth scoring, right? Like, outside of their top two lines, like, you know, if you had a third scoring line, maybe that game against Western goes differently. And I don't mean that as a shot. Like, Mankato gave Western the best game they played all year, and that's nothing to scoff at, right?
Yeah. Luigi's
but
posted
inherently,
I'll never forget.
Tough. And I hope he gets like another shot at it too, because that should, like, I hope that's not his last like everlasting moment in the NCAA tournament, because that's just tough like for any kid, right? Like, but you know, I think when the context of parity, like, it's a lot of like, we'll find out, because I don't know, we still don't really know how the long-term impact of the CHL is going to impact college hockey. Like, you know, let's look at Bemidji State and Bowling Green this year, for example, and even Michigan Tech. Like, there are some kids who came from a CHL background that's stuck. Like, in Bemidji State, it's Oliver Peer. He's got 17 goals. He's now tied for 10th in program history for goals in a single season. And he came from U Sports. Like, he's playing Canadian college hockey last year. Hudson Thornton has 16 assists this year. Granted, he only has 1 5-on-5 point, but you know, this is a kid that, he's a little bit of a special teams merchant right now. But you know, like, he's an outstanding player, and the way he moves defensively is something that I don't think Bemidji State has had in a very long time. At least, well, maybe they had it with Pulltab 2 years ago, but it's not something they've had consistently year to year. Then there's some kids who have struggled a little bit, like kids that just can't find the lineup. Kids that, you know, Vincent LaBelle's one. He comes from the CHL. He played almost every game in the first half, and he's been in and out of the lineup since, and he's not injured. So, and Bowling Green's the same way. Like, you look at that top line, there's 2 CHLers on that top line, and that's a team with 11 of them. And there's not 11 Bowling Green kids right now getting a lot of praise from the CHL. So it's a little bit of a feeling out process for coaches to find what works, you know. And even if we go to like the Minnesota State, St. Thomas, and Augustana, where it was more of a traditional recruiting approach, you know, the answer is there's not one way to build a college hockey team anymore. Yeah. And the longer that we start to kind of sit with that and understand what that means for the rest of college hockey, the more the chips are going to fall where they may in it. You know, I think the one thing we see with a lot of CHL recruits is that they're undersized. Like, if they had the size, they would have signed their AHL deal, you know, because a lot of them will have the points, but they won't have the size. You know, they'll be 5'9" and 170 pounds, or, you know, maybe they take, you know, the upside on a bigger kid with the size, but maybe not the points. You know, that's something to consider as well. So, each kid is different too. Like, that's the one thing to remember is, you know, when we try and make recruiting a black and white thing, it's never an advantageous route to go down. So, but I do think, because the player pool got 1,000 players bigger, there's just more opportunity for teams to get better in the margins. And when that happens, that's where you see parity increase. So I do think parity is here to stay. But then again, like, I still think the situation like last year where Mankato kind of runs away with it a little bit, but it's not over in December kind of stuff. Like, that's probably the best it can get for not just a CCHA team, but a college hockey team in general.
That makes sense. Yeah, so Bemidji's coming to Mankato this weekend. What are your kind of thoughts going into the series?
You know, it's pretty on par that Mankato comes off a bye right now for Bemidji.
Time off has not been our friend the past 2 years.
We're
so
bad after time off.
True. That's a good point. No, look, Bemidji State played better than the points they got this past weekend. Definitely. Like, at one point yesterday, shots were 26-6 Bemidji State. Like, Martin Lundberg was the only reason that game was not 6-1 after 40 minutes. And that's just kind of the way it goes when you're fighting it, right? Like, you know, you're hitting posts, you're missing the net on wide open one-timers. Even when you put it on net, there is Martin Lundberg sliding across, making a glove save. You're just like, we cannot buy one right now. And it was the same against Northern. It was the same against St. Thomas in a lot of ways. But I think the fact that Bemidji State has put together like good on ice play the past 2 weekends, like I really do feel like if you take out the third period on Friday, because that was the ugly one, like that was a gross period, but 11 out of their last 12 periods have been good periods. Like if they looked like a lot closer to the team they were in the first half than they were in the second half. If you can just bottle that up and bring it into Mankato, I think it'll be a good series because these teams haven't played each other yet this year, right? Like that.
Right.
It's really bizarre that we're getting to February 13th and they have not played each other. Like
So weird.
I don't like it. I like when Mankato comes to Bemidji. Like these games are fun. Like these are some of my favorite games because there is hate. Like these players don't like each other. Like I still think this is the best rivalry in the CCHA. Like I know Tech and Northern fans will disagree, but these coaches, like they have a lot of respect for each other, but they don't like the other programs. The players get it. The fans get it. 1 year, I think for a while, Mankato was a little bit of a big brother to Bemidji State. And Bemidji State, in their heart of hearts, probably knows that a little bit. But now it is a little bit more evened out, right? Like, I think, like Cam said, like gone are the days where a CCHA team is going to be the number one team in the country and, kind of rolling like that. Like it is a little bit more even. And I think, obviously St. Thomas is a good rival for Bemidji State and Mankato. Augustana too, especially with the Division II rivalry there. Like there is some, but the big rivalry, especially for in this, like the Minnesota side of the CCHA, is Bemidji State and Mankato. And if you can't get up for that game, you don't deserve to be on the ice. And I think that's exactly what guys like Kirkland Irie, even Adam Fleming and Riley Funk are saying to the guys in the locker room. Like, sure, it's been a tough stretch, but you don't. If you look flat against Mankato, don't bother showing up. Like that's and it's the same thing. Like for Evan Murr and Alex Tracy are those guys saying like, yeah, you think Bemidji State's going to come in here and play like they did against Northern? Like, good luck. You're going to get. They're heavy games. You're going to feel it. Double up on ice packs, right? Like get an extra cooler in here. But it makes the wins on Saturday a little bit sweeter too. And I think Bemidji State wants nothing more than to come back on a happy bus ride home on Saturday and go into a bye feeling good. But I'm excited. It's because like we said, both teams are flawed. Like and Bemidji State more so than Minnesota State right now. But it's two teams that have some stuff to figure out before the Mason Cup playoffs come around, and you're running out of runway to figure it out. So I'm actually pretty excited for this series because I think I think both games will be close. I don't have a prediction or anything, but I do think both games will be really close and really heavy.
Yeah, I completely agree. Chad, you got anything more?
I just have one last question. I mean, first of all, I totally agree with you. It is so weird to have one series with Bemidji, and it's not the last weekend of the year. Like, if you're going to give us one, make it the last series of the season. Like we're used to. At least give us something. This is very strange. But my question for you is, with St. Thomas leaving after this season, what do you think the CCHA looks like next year? Do they just roll with 8? Do they try to add a couple more teams, one more team? Like,
they better roll.
What do you see happening?
I think it's going to be 8 for a while. To get bigger than 8, there'd have to be one of two things would have to happen. Either another Midwest, like Northern Midwest college hockey team would have to start a program, because I don't think Lindenwood's ever going to be a CCHA team in this current form. They're not in a good geographical place to be in the CCHA. Like, sure, Bowling Green is pretty far out there. And then for the Michigan teams, like Augustana is pretty far out the other way. But like, they're all relatively regional to each other. Like, there's kind of two halves to the CCHA, where you got the UP schools, Ferris and Bowling Green. You got the rest of them kind of over here with Mankato, Bemidji, Augie, St. Thomas. And sure, yeah, you got to take a couple of long bus rides or a plane ride there, right? Like, it's not fun to do it, but it's once or twice a year. Like, it's not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Lindenwood, like that's close to nobody. That's a brutal drive. And granted, like, late state charters, I know Cato flies, right? Like St. Thomas will fly and then bus back. Like, some schools will fly, but like most of the schools are bussing. Could you imagine bussing from Sault Ste. Marie to St. Louis? Oh my God.
That would be terrible.
I'd be filling out my transfer paperwork on the ride home. Like,
you have plenty of time to do
you
it.
go down to St. Louis, you go down to St. Louis and drop 5 out of 6 to Lindenwood, and then you have a bus ride home to Houghton. Oh my God. Like you're questioning everything at that point, right? And that's every weekend for teams in the CCHA. So
yeah.
I think they will stick at 8. The other thing that could happen is, like, and I shouldn't say could happen, but like what would have to happen for the CCHA to shift is college hockey would have to have like some sort of seismic shift where the NCHC tries to get a little bigger, but then maybe kicks out some schools in the process, right? Like, Minnesota, Duluth, and St. Cloud are good programs. Like Duluth's having a great year. St. Cloud is probably the most underrated team in the country this year. Like, and people who know me know I do not like giving love to St. Cloud. I hate their rink.
Same
it
here.
Smells like grease.
Yep.
Like it's my least favorite road trip I go to every year. They are a good hockey team. They have good goaltending, and that top line is disgusting. Like Tyson Gross is one of the best players in college hockey, and the Duluth and St. Cloud are not that like St. Cloud is poor. Bemidji State is poor, and Duluth is like kind of poor, right? Like, for the context, like they're both in the NSIC, and for the BSU baseball coach told me once that the scholarship share in the NSIC, Bemidji State gives out 1.4 scholarships for their entire baseball team, which is about 50 players. Now they cut some corners there with kids who have like indigenous blood in them, or they have a parent that is works at the school, right? So then they get free tuition. There's ways to kind of cut corners as a state school, right? That's the same for St. Cloud, Duluth, and Mankato, right? The second lowest scholarship total for NSIC baseball was Minnesota Duluth at 3 scholarships for their entire team. And I think St. Cloud was bottom 5. Like these are not schools that have a ton of financial backing to them. Like St. Cloud had to get a big fat donation just to upgrade their rink. Like, and none of that stuff goes to NIL or, better travel or anything like that. St. Cloud, if you want to talk about stretching a dollar further, like St. Cloud is a school that can do it. Like they recruit above their means every single year. And the fact that they're able to field a competitive team in the NCHC deserves a lot of credit. If the NCHC, and this would be like 10, 15 years down the road, start saying, you know what, like we have an opportunity to get this Power 4 school in, maybe like a UNLV, right? If college hockey expands to like around 80 teams, then maybe they would go away from St. Cloud and Duluth, and then we'd have a little bit more of a regional one where then the CCHA could break off and do like
so fun.
Right. It would be great.
Yeah.
And then the Michigan schools would go back to like the GLIAC or something like that. So, but again, that's purely speculation. And there would have and that's kind of predicated too on there being Power 4 teams getting college hockey. And that's not something people should bank on because, in the context of Oklahoma State trying to get college hockey, right? Like everyone gets super excited about it. And it's like, oh my God, that'd be awesome. Like hockey in Oklahoma. Sure. Like sign me up. Oklahoma State football runs Stillwater. Stillwater. They're coming off of a horrible year. They just hired a new head coach. They need to invest boatloads of money into that program to make them competitive in the Big 12. If there's a collection of donors that is giving money for the athletics program, do they want to spend $200 million on hockey, or they rather give it to football to field a competitive Big 12 team?
Right. It seems like
the answer's football.
It seems like those things kind of start because some kid had AI make a Oklahoma State jersey, and then everybody's like, "Oh no, we got Oklahoma State hockey coming!" Like that's all it takes.
Nice going, Chicklets.
The funniest thing about it is you're kind of exactly right of how it happened. The rink renderings came from an architecture student at Oklahoma State.
There you go.
It's not even an architecture firm.
Timothy Blom's been posting those for the Mavericks.
A class project.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some kid gets an A, and then Mike Grinelli is like, Oklahoma State's getting hockey, and I love Grinelli. Like I love Chicklets. It's great. I'm a Chicklets guy. So, but it's like, guys, come on, we got to think through this a little bit. Like the schools that are going to get D1 hockey are going to be schools like Minnesota State and Bemidji State that are D2, D3 schools. Most of them are where it would differ from Bemidji State, Minnesota State, is that they're probably going to be private schools that have a little bit more money to them, where they see, hey, we have an opportunity to make money off of a sport that's not football or basketball.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to see it. Schools like Marist, schools like Tennessee State when they were trying to get hockey, right? Like Illinois was really close. Illinois is really, really close right before COVID. And then COVID happens and it kind of derails it. Now Illinois won't get football, won't get hockey because the landscape of college athletics has changed since then, where there's revenue sharing. You have to opt into school.
Yeah.
And so like football can pay for the rest of your school. So invest all the money into football so you can make more money. Like that's all. It always comes down to dollars and cents.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Jared, I got to hit the slopes here in about 45 minutes. So we thank you for your time, man. We could go all day. We got to do this again because there's just so much to talk about. And I don't know, all 12 of our listeners are going to absolutely love this. This is huge. So
don't worry. I think you and I are, doing a race to 20 for listeners on our podcast this year. So
are you coming
we'll
to
have
the
to
game
see
this
who
weekend?
wins. What's that?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll stay in Mankato on Friday night. My girlfriend and I are doing a little Valentine. I'm not going out, Juts. No shot. I'm 30 now. I'm 30. I don't got it in me. It's not in me anymore.
Hey, one beer at Rounders after the game.
Yeah, that always starts. That's how it always starts. Go for
I
one, stay for two.
I gotta make the girlfriend happy. If she says I can, I'll do it. But good luck.
We'll say hi to you in the press box at the very least.
Listen,
I'll come down. I'll come down and say hi. We'll take a picture, and we'll do all of it. Yeah, it'll be good. I'll make sure to come down. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good one.
Can't miss us.
None of us have got our picture with Diaz yet. I'm pretty disappointed about that. The CCHA watch, he hasn't got a picture with us. I don't know what the deal is there.
It's probably a you problem.
It probably is a me problem. If we're being honest,
probably we walk in with 6 beers and
probably. But Jared, thanks a ton for your time, man. Really quick, where can people find your stuff? Can you kind of plug where people can get your articles and get your stuff?
Yeah, BemidjiPioneer.com. It's a lot of Bemidji State stuff, but I try to do a lot of league-wide stuff, especially on Mondays with just some notes from around the league. Follow me on Twitter, Jared Rubado, DP. If you want to find an easy way to get to my account, you can just look through Cam's mentions, or his replies, because he won't get out of them. No, it's look. I love this job. The CCHA is it's an interesting league, but it's a one-of-a-kind league, and I think what makes it is the people involved. I think support. All the media, right? Like you guys as well. I think it's important, whether it's fans or fan media, student media, people like me who, think they know what they're talking about, but are really just idiots like the rest of us. So, it's fun. Like, you guys do good work. I've told Cam time, like I listen to the show when I can, like, especially last week's, like that was great. I love the Tracy episodes. Like, I didn't even get to wax poetic about how much I love Alex Tracy, because like the nice, like one last thing. Like I want to kind of clear the air for a second, but I went to Augustana. Like I'm an Augustana grad. I went there before we even had hockey. Like it was a basketball school. And I was like Cam, where freshman year, I was just loaded in the front row of the student section. And I dressed up like Dan Jansen. He was a basketball. He was like 6'8". And I used to have hair that went halfway down my back. And so I put it in a bun, just like Dan Jansen's hair. I wore the leggings and everything, right? Like, we were a basketball school through and through, right? But, there was a lot of rivalry there with Mankato. I lived with the basketball guys. I lived with the baseball guys, and they didn't like Mankato, and Mankato didn't like us. And, so I love this league, and I love, the people I get to interact with. You guys do great work. Keep it up. And, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and, it should be fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a ton of fun. As long as Mankato keeps the Wi-Fi in shape, we'll still be here. So, and Apple Valley, I guess, for Chad. But
yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jared. We'll catch you around the rink on Friday and Saturday, and safe travels. Shouldn't be.
Don't worry, I will convince
Thanks,
you.
Boys.
Going to the bar.
Good luck.
Watch me.
Best of luck, brother. She's the coach. She's the coach. I'm just the player.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All righty, man. That was awesome. That was, I put that up there with some of the cool stuff we've got to talk about on this
that was
podcast,
great.
guys. That was huge. Shout out to Jared. Me and Chad, I'm sure you feel the same way. That was,
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, we could, like we said, we could talk to him all day long.
yeah. Just, I mean, one of those guys you put a quarter in, let him go, and just like hearing about the behind the scenes of that Mason Cup article, and just the passion he has for, like he said, a conference where probably feels like you're writing to no one for a lot of stuff. I mean, it's where we are very truly lucky to have guys like him, and he's not the only one too. There's a lot of media guys out there in the CCHA that do a really, really good job. So that was cool though. That was awesome. So
that was fun.
Obviously that was we kind of talked about the series preview in there. So we're not going to do a separate one because he covered it way better than we would have throughout that entire interview. So with that, I think we have one X question. I didn't post them quick enough to get a lot, so sorry about that, guys. But
there's 4. I just checked.
Oh, there's 4. Okay,
there are a lot of 2. Sorry, I can't count
2.
it.
Yeah, I got 2 here. So quickly,
Nick
Nick Mueller. Are we worried about the bye week could kill momentum? Well, I did bring that up with Jared. So we've said that time off has not been our friend in the past, whatever. But then we also said a couple episodes ago that I can't remember how well we did after our second half break last year, and obviously we went kind of on that heater to end the year. So I guess I'm not that worried about this one. Chad, what about you?
I mean, you're right. We don't do great coming out of the bye, but it is Bemidji. Yeah. I mean, it like Jared said, it's hard not to get excited for this one. I mean, there's a handful of games you circle on the schedule, and this is one of them. This is a big series.
Yeah, Juts.
I mean, yeah, like Jared said, if you can't get out for Bemidji, you shouldn't play. So if we're flat, there's something wrong with more than just it being bye week. It's just our mentality. You have to be locked in for these games.
For sure.
If we don't get 6, we're if we don't get at least 5, it's a bad weekend.
Yeah, I'd say majority points is. I mean, I'd say even 4 is the 5. Minimum. But 5 is. Yeah, we need 5. 6 would be
5
fantastic.
Is the minimum for me to be happy.
Yeah. Well, and we want to make you happy, Juts. So hopefully that happens.
The world revolves around me. You guys are all just side characters in my life. So
we know.
We know. BC has a comment. This weekend went quite well for the McNaughton and Home Ice Hopes. We control our destiny against BG and OG, up to the number 3 seed, and we only need Tech to drop 2 points and UST to drop 4 points to catch up with them, assuming we get 6 each weekend. So clearly BC has done. I guess Chad, you kind of mentioned pretty similar to that to start the show, but BC has definitely done a little bit more math than we have already. So I guess that's a pretty good. So Augie, so just to reiterate that, Augie and Tech need to drop 2 points for us to catch them, obviously, and pass them. UST needs to drop 4 points and to catch up with them, assuming we get 6 points. So if we win out, that's kind of what we need each team to do. So I guess that's a good little nugget there, BC. Thanks for doing that math for us because I wasn't going to. So I don't know. I'm not going to fact check it either, so I don't know if that's completely right, but. You guys got anything on that? Does that sound right, Chad? You have a troubled look on your face.
Most of it sounds. I think some of those point situations would bring in tiebreakers that I don't fully understand. I think I think it might be an extra point with St. Thomas because they would have the tiebreaker over us, or wouldn't they?
Is it head to head? Because we beat them in regulation, lost in overtime.
Let's see here.
And then
because we split the season.
Yeah.
Well, because
did we go to a shootout against St. Thomas? Okay,
no,
so that was technically.
No.
We lost in overtime.
That's right.
Tiebreakers. It's so that I think first is head to head, and then second is greatest number of regulation wins.
Mm-hmm.
So
got it.
Obviously, depending on how that goes, I don't even know.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of to be determined because that's going to be something. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. I mean, if the rest of St. Thomas games go to overtime, like who knows? So
right. So overtime is good.
Yeah, yeah. I guess If St. Thomas could lose in overtime or win in overtime, I guess that kind of solidifies that. So yeah, no, those are good numbers though. That's kind of good outlook and a good precursor for the rest of the season, I guess to say. Yeah, Juts, anything?
Nope, math's not my thing.
Math's not history teacher.
No,
Chad,
I'm glad you guys did the math because I wasn't gonna do it.
What are you asking? Like final thoughts?
Anything more? Final thoughts? See you at the rink.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get down. I'm not sure if we're getting down Saturday. We have a game Friday night, and then
Okay.
No,
Then we're
so
going
you just
into-
can't get up for this series. Got it.
Jesus.
yeah, that's
Here
what
we
that
go.
means.
So does that mean you're
Um,
not coming at all?
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Of course not. Listen to the episode and you'll figure it out. I'm not going to
So
say it
we'll
again.
see Chad on Saturday.
Yeah, and then we roll into the district tournament. So, big week for the big bag
kidding.
house.
Good luck.
When's the first game?
Sunday,
Nice.
whatever that is, the 15th.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Shut
Uh,
up, Juts.
Hold on. Shout out Pops when this episode comes out. It's his birthday. So
Oh,
happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Mr.
birthday.
Jang.
well, that'll do it for this episode of Chattin Mavericks. Shout out to Play It Again Sports, 10K Takes and Captain's Patch, Maverick Sports Grill, and Fitness for 10, of course. Thank you all for tuning in to us clowns. We this is pretty cool that we get to do it. So we appreciate it. We'll see you at the rink. Chad, hit me with a roll, Mavs.
You know what? I'm a horns up guy. You young kids go
You-
roll Mavs, but
you are a horns up guy.
the older crowd goes horns up.
So maybe
But
I'll go roll Mavs and you go horns up.
Okay.
All right. Roll Mavs.
Horns up.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Chattin Mavericks podcast. Please be sure to leave a review, subscribe, and share. Roll Mavs.